Picture handing your life savings to a young man in a rumpled t-shirt because a magazine called him the good kind of billionaire. Millions did exactly that. Not with cash they could hold, but with numbers on a screen that felt just as real. Then, one ordinary November, the screen stopped letting them take their money out. The company was called FTX. At its peak, it was worth $32 billion. Within about a week, it was worth nothing. I am Sterling, and this is more than a crime story. It is a lesson about a question most people never ask. Where is your money actually sitting tonight? And who gets to say no when you ask for it back? Let me take you back to 2019, before any of this had a name you would recognize. A young man named Sam Bankman-Fried starts a crypto exchange called FTX, a place you send money to buy and sell digital coins. He already ran a trading firm called Alameda Research. Hold on to that name, because it is the whole story. On paper, Sam looked like the opposite of a con man. Physics degree, cargo shorts, and a beanbag chair at the office. He talked about giving nearly all his money to charity. Here, finally, was a billionaire you could root for. And here is the first quiet lesson. A likable story is not the same thing as a safe place to keep your money. The story worked. Serious investors poured in, and FTX grew from a startup to a giant in about 3 years. At its peak, those investors valued the company at $32 billion, bigger than most banks you have heard of. FTX put its name on a professional basketball arena in Miami, a deal reported at around $135 million. They ran a Super Bowl commercial with the comedian Larry David, playing a man who doubts every great invention in history. The message was simple. Do not be the fool who doubts FTX. Do not miss out. They paid the football legend Tom Brady a reported $55 million and signed Gisele Bündchen and the basketball star Steph Curry. None of those famous faces knew how FTX kept its books. They were paid to lend you their trust, not to verify anything. So the machine had a friendly face and a name on an arena. Underneath it, the numbers were already rotten. To understand how it broke, you have to understand one thing FTX did with your deposits. When you put cash on an exchange, you trust them to hold it. In your mind, it is still your money, in a vault with your name on it. That assumption is what the whole system runs on. At FTX, it was false. Customer money was quietly flowing to that other company I told you to remember. Alameda Research, Sam's private trading firm. Picture a bank teller taking deposits from the front counter and handing them to his own gambling partner in the back room. Alameda used that money to make huge, risky bets. While they paid off, nobody asked questions. FTX's own software had a hidden exemption written in, letting Alameda keep borrowing long after any normal account would have been frozen. There was a second trick underneath the first. FTX had invented its own coin called FTT. FTX could print FTT almost out of thin air, and the two companies held most of it themselves. They treated that homemade coin as if it were solid wealth and used it to prop up their books. And what backed all that borrowing? Mostly FTT, the coin FTX printed itself. Real dollars, lent against paper they could conjure for free. Sit with the danger here. A company was using money. It made up to guarantee money that belonged to real customers. It works beautifully right up until people want to leave. Then you learn the vault was mostly full of the company's own paper. When the dust settled, investigators found a hole of around $8 billion, roughly what customers were owed that simply was not there. How did seasoned professionals miss this? Sequoia, a top venture firm, put in over $200 million, then wrote it all down to zero. They were dazzled by growth and a good story, and too few demanded a real audit. When a crowd is buying, doubt itself starts to feel like the risky move. For a long time, no outsider could see any of this. Deposits flowed in faster than anyone wanted to leave. A bank only keeps enough cash on hand for the few people who cash out on a normal day. In early November of 2022, a news report revealed how much of Alameda's supposed fortune was just that homemade FTT coin. Then a rival stepped in. The head of a much larger exchange, Binance, announced he was selling off his pile of FTT. It was like a respected banker walking outside and saying, "I am pulling my money out of the vault down the street." The price of FTT began to fall, and falling money is the one thing you cannot hide. Customers rushed to pull their money out while they still could. This is a bank run as old as banking itself. everyone reaching for the exit at the same moment. In under 3 days, customers tried to withdraw around $6 billion. But the money was not there. It had been handed to the back room and lost on bets. FTX froze withdrawals. That polite word, froze, means your money is inside and you cannot touch it. For a moment it looked like Binance might buy FTX and rescue everyone. Then they read the books and walked away. On November 11, 2022, FTX and about 130 connected companies filed for bankruptcy. A veteran named John Ray was brought in to clean up the wreckage. This was the man who had handled the Enron collapse. He wrote that he had never seen such a complete failure of controls in his career. Sam Bankman-Fried was in the Bahamas when it came down. On December 12, 2022, he was arrested there. He was brought back to the United States to face 7 criminal charges, including fraud and conspiracy. He did not plead. He went to trial and told the world it was all just a series of mistakes. But the people who ran the machine beside him took the stand and explained how customer money was spent as if it were the company's. In November of 2023, a jury took only hours to decide. Guilty on all 7 counts. On March 28, 2024, a judge sentenced him to 25 years in prison. He was ordered to forfeit around $11 billion, money that for the most part is simply gone. The Good Billionaire the magazines built up turned out to be one of the largest financial frauds in American history, and every dollar of it started as a real person's savings, deposited in good faith. So let me pull the money lessons out of the wreckage, because that is why you and I are here. Lesson 1. When you hand money to any company to hold, you take on what we call counterparty risk. That is a fancy phrase for a simple fear. The risk the other side breaks its promise, and your money goes with it. In crypto, people say it plainly. Not your keys, not your coins. If you do not truly control the thing, you are only holding a promise, and a promise can be broken overnight. Lesson 2. Be deeply suspicious of any place selling returns too good to walk away from. FTX advertised with the fear of missing out. Real, durable wealth is almost never built on that fear. Lesson 3. A famous face, a shiny arena, and a beanbag chair tell you nothing about whether the vault is full. Lesson 4. The backbone of all the others. Do not keep more than you can lose in any single place you do not control. Spread it out. Keep the bulk somewhere plain, insured, and answerable to rules, somewhere that cannot simply freeze the door. Lesson 5. Before you trust any exchange with your money, check 3 plain things. Is it regulated by a real authority? Does an outside auditor check its books? And are customer funds kept separate from the company's own? Regulated and audited is no magic shield, but it means someone with legal power can walk in and count. FTX answered to almost no one. And be wary of any company that is its own bank, its own trader, and its own referee. Then no one is left to catch it cheating. The people who got hurt were not foolish. They were trusting, and they trusted a story instead of the structure underneath it. So here is the line worth remembering. The safest money you own is the money only you can say yes or no to. An impressive story can be printed in a day. A vault you actually control is what stands there on the worst morning. Ask the boring question before you chase the exciting one. Where is my money sitting tonight, and who can stop me from taking it back? If this helped you look at your own accounts more carefully, subscribe and stay with me. We keep it plain, and we keep your money yours.